Good afternoon, you cool cats and kittens. I pray that everyone is having a wonderful and thankful Tuesday on today. Today, what we are going to be continuing on is slope. So, for all my people who are just tuning in to today's video and you need a refresher on slope, there is a playback list just for you. So, make sure that you watch the playback videos in their full entirety so you can catch up and understand all the business about slope. But today, we are going to be reviewing how to find the slope by using the slope formula, okay? And we are also going to be practicing graphing the equation of a line, okay? So again, in order for you to do this, you must know slope and you must know what the y-intercept is. If you do not remember, or you're just like, Miss Hampton, I don't know what the word you're talking about, please feel free, and I implore you and strongly encourage you, to watch the playback videos. Playback videos are very insightful, they are helpful, and plus you will get all the practice that you need. And furthermore, you can rewind and fast forward and take notes, and it's at your own pace. So make sure that you are watching the playback videos. Okay, so today, what I want to do, I want to go over how to find the slope by using the slope formula. So remember, our slope formula, as a matter of fact, let me go ahead and move this up just a smidge. See, you get, you get everything right here. This is 100% real time right here, okay? So the slope formula, and I will write it, because I need space over here, but I will write it over here. It is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, okay? So that is the slope formula. Remember, sometimes on your math GED exam, you may be presented slope in a number of different ways. They may present a picture and they may simply say, what kind of slope is this? Is it a positive slope, a negative slope, a zero slope, or an undefined slope? Okay, that's one way that slope can be presented. Another way that slope can be presented to you is with coordinates. Okay, so just a quick review on coordinates very, very quickly. That is way too big. So let me make it to where it fits. All right. So, so this is the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So you may be given coordinates, and coordinates are ordered pairs, which is comprised of an x coordinate and a y coordinate. So remember, when you are dealing with coordinates or ordered pairs, they're the same thing. Your x is first. Your x represents the numbers that are on the x-axis, which is horizontal. Those numbers go left to right. So depending on how you're looking at this, okay, let me pull up the graph real quick so that way you can see what it is that I'm referring to. This line, the horizontal line, is represented by the x-axis, okay? So that is represented as the x-axis. Your y-axis is the vertical line, okay? So the vertical goes up and down, okay? So when I tell people that I am vertically challenged, I'm simply telling them that I'm short, okay? Because vertical means height, up and down, okay? So that is my y-axis, and I think they already wrote it, but I'm gonna write it again anyway because that's just what I do. All right, so remember, in a coordinate or ordered pair, your x's go first, and they are on the x-axis, which is the horizontal line. And from that point, your y-coordinate goes up and down, which is vertical. All right, for more information, please stay tuned because we're actually going to be using this particular graph today when we are graphing the equation of a line or graphing linear equations. Okay. All right, wrong one. Bloop, 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 bloop. All right, so back to this. Well, I don't think it was this one, but since I'm here, I'll go ahead and stick with it. All right, so move that. All right, so remember, another way that you can find slope is with if they give you two coordinates or two ordered pairs. So the first thing you would have to do, you would have to name your numbers or assign your coordinates. Okay, so remember, -12 is the x coordinate of the first set. That is why we named this x1, because 12 is the x coordinate of the first set. 7 is the y coordinate for the first set, and therefore we name it y1. 6 is the x coordinate of the second set. So therefore 6 is represented as x2, and -3 is represented as y2 because -3 is the y coordinate of the second set. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do, we are going to plug and chug or substitute our numbers in for these letters. And when we do that, we are going to have -3 minus 7. So that's what I have at the top. My y's are at the top. And it's very important that you make sure you put the numbers in the correct spots. Otherwise, you will yield the wrong answer, and I'll have to give you a sad face. And I don't want to give you a sad face. So make sure that you are putting your numbers in the correct position, because positions make all of the difference. They really, really do. Okay, so I have my y's at the top, and now I have my x's at the bottom. So I have x2 minus x1. So I have I have 6 minus -12. When you're dealing with negative numbers, especially in subtraction, it is very important that you make sure that you put your number around parentheses. Okay, that's very important. And I just have somebody joining us. I do not know who it is because I can't see your lovely face or your icon, but good morning, and I hope you're having yes. Good. Is this Miss Philomena? Okay, Miss Philomena, you can go ahead and put your audio on mute.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So thank you, Miss Philomena, for joining me. We are reviewing slope, and we are reviewing how to find the slope with two ordered pairs or two coordinates. Okay, so this is just the step-by-step directions right here. So now what we're doing is we are subtracting integers. The foundations of algebra are as follows: fractions, percents, decimals, and integers. How to add them, subtract them, multiply them, and divide them. And if you know how to do all of those things, algebra will not be a problem for you, I promise. Okay? Now, I am simply going to use my keep, change rule. Remember, we are dealing with subtracting integers. So with subtracting integers, you have your keep, change, or some people learned it as keep, change, opposite rule. Either way, okay? I honestly don't like how I wrote that. It's just, okay. All right. So with all of that being said, for the top, instead of it being, okay, where's my cursor? Okay, so at the top where it says -3 minus 7, I'm going to keep this -3 the same. I am going to change my subtraction sign to addition because addition and subtraction are inverse operations. And I'm going to change the second number, which is my 7, to the opposite. So the opposite of 7 is -7. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom. I'm going to keep my number 6 the same. I am going to change my subtraction to the addition sign, and I am going to change my second number to the opposite. So the opposite of negative 12 is 12. Or as you know, two negatives make a positive. And that's another way to help you remember how to do keep change. Okay. So now what I have here, I have negative 3 plus a negative 7, which gives me a negative 10. And then I have 6 plus 12, which gives me 18. Okay. So with this is nothing more than a fraction. So because it's just a fraction, I can simplify this to negative 5 over 9. And this lets me know that my slope is negative, and that would be the picture of it right here. And we're going to give ourselves a smiley face because, yay, we did it. Okay, smiley faces are very important. Okay, so that's just a quick recap of how you would find the slope with two coordinates. Okay, now sometimes they may give you an actual graph with no numbers, and we're going to look at this right now, and they will tell you to find the slope. Okay, so that's exactly what we're going to do now. Okay, and I am going to make this bigger because you all need to see it. That's kind of important. Okay. Okay. Now for numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, we just identified what kind of slope it was. So for example, number 1 was a negative slope because as we know, negative slopes, as you go from left to right, the further right you're going, the line is going down. So therefore, that's a negative slope. We do not know the actual number of that slope, but we do know based on the picture that it is a negative slope. Okay, so numbers 1 through 4, we did those last week, and we were just identifying what kind of slope it was. Okay, but today and right now, I want to show you. All right, I want to show you if you are given a graph, and I'm going to look at number 5, trying to make sure that everybody can see. Okay, so I'm going to look at number 5. Number 5, they have a graph. It has no numbers. Okay, so it's very important that you make sure that you know how to read a graph. That's very, very important. Okay, so as always, in the event that I didn't know or if I forgot, I am going to start at my origin. Remember, the origin is where the x and the y axes meet or where they cross. So I'm going to start here. Now, based on the picture, just based off the picture on what I know, I can tell that I have a positive slope simply because the further right that I go, my line is going up. So I know I have a positive slope. I honestly just do not know what the number is, but I do know that I have a positive slope. So now what I'm going to do is, in order for me to figure out what my points are, and remember, all you need is 2 points on a line to make a line. Because lines go on forever, and there can be a million, bajillion, www points, but you only need 2 to make a line. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to start at my origin here, and I am going to go over 1 and then up 1, 2. So this point is going to be represented as -1, 2. Okay, and I'll try my best to put it in parentheses. Okay. All right. And so this next point, I am going to start at my origin. Remember, you always start at your origin, and if your number is positive, you're going to go to the right on the x-axis. If your number is negative, you're going to go to the left. So that is the reason why I went left, is because my point is up here. So in order for me to get to that point, I had to go from 0 to -1, and I know that's -1. And then from -1, I went up to 1, 2. So that's why my 1 is negative and my 2 is positive. All right. So now I'm going to do the same thing with this particular point. I am going to start in my origin and I am going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm at -4 for my x coordinate, and then I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3. So my coordinate for this one would be -4 and -3. And I hope that you all can see this. Okay. So those are my coordinates that I will be using in the slope formula to find my slope. So remember, this is the formula that we use up here. Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. And remember, I don't know why M is slope. They should have used S. I'm not Dr. Hampton. I don't know. All right, but what I do know is now I can name my numbers or assign my coordinates. Now, I get this question all the time. Miss Hampton, does it matter which coordinate is first? Not really, and not necessarily. Me personally, I just try to go with whatever is, whatever catches my eye first. So because I plotted this point first, I am going to use -1 and 2 as my first set. Okay, and then I'm going to use -4. -3 as my second set. Excuse me, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to name my numbers and assign my coordinates. So this one would be x1 because -1 is the x coordinate of the first set. And so 2 would be y1 because 2 is the y coordinate for the first set. Okay? So now I'm going to go over here and do the same thing. Because now I'm dealing with my second set, -4 would be x2. And -3 would be y2. And I do not like how I wrote that. My students know I'm very particular about handwriting, and I want to make sure that it is as clear as possible. Okay. So hopefully that's better. So now what I'm going to do is I am simply just going to substitute my numbers in for the equation. That's all I'm doing. All right. So at the top, I have -3 minus 2. Y2 minus Y1. So I hope everyone can see that. Y2 minus Y1. And I'm going to put that over X2 minus X1. And that is going to give me -4 minus -1. Remember, whenever you're dealing with subtracting negative numbers or integers from each other, you want to put that second number that if it's negative in parentheses. Okay. Now I'm going to follow my keep, change rule. And now what I have is I have -3, and I'm going to go ahead and change colors here. So that way you all can see. So I have -3 plus a -2. The reason for this is again, and I will show you. I kept my first number the same, so -3 stayed the same. I changed my subtraction sign to an addition sign simply because they are inverse operations of each other. And by the way, inverse is just the fancy word for opposite or mathematical term for opposite. And I have 2. I changed my second number to the opposite, and the opposite of 2 is -2. So that is how we came up with that first answer. or the first part of the equation. Not the answer yet. We getting there. All right. So now I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom. I am going to say keep my -4 the same. I am going to change the subtraction to addition. And I'm going to change my second number to the opposite. So the opposite of -1 is 1. Or as I said before, 2 negatives here make a positive. All right, so now that I do this, now that I'm getting ready to do this, I am going to have -5 over -4 plus 1 equals -3. Because remember, if we were -$4 in our account and the Lord just blessed you with $1 to put in, you're still -$3 in your. Got to get that bad boy back on positive, okay? Now, I know what you're thinking. Somebody pick me. Miss Hampton, I thought you said we had a positive slope, but I see 2 negative numbers. This is where knowing the rules of integers really come into play. So what I have here, if I can find my cursor, what I have here is a fraction. And as I always tell my students, division is nothing more than fractions. Fractions are nothing more than division problems. So if I were to literally type in -5 divided by -3, I'm going to get a positive answer. But remember, you do not have to convert your fractions into decimals as it relates to slope. You want it to be in a fraction. And you want it to be either positive or negative. And it's okay to have whole numbers too. But you really want to keep your slope in a fraction or a whole number. Don't convert it to a decimal. Okay, don't do that. All right. So if I were to, and I am not sure if you all can see this calculator that I'm getting ready to pull up. Miss Philomena, if you are still here, can you take off your mic for a quick second? I am not sure if you all can see this calculator. Miss Philomena, again, I'm not sure if you're on or not, but if you're not on, it's okay. Hopefully you all can see the calculator, but if not, I will just point you in the right direction. So on the calculator, I am pulling up -5 divided by, and if you have a calculator, you can do this with me too, -3. And my answer is going to be a positive 1.666666667. Okay, so 2 negatives make a positive when you are dividing. So I'm going to minimize that for a second. So that's the reason why my actual answer would be, as my slope, it would be 5/3. So that is my actual slope. And because it is going in a positive direction, that checks. Now, another way that we can check this to make sure that it is indeed a positive slope, I can start from this point here, and I can go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then from here, I can go over 1, 2, 3. I don't know if I can, I'm pretty sure I could, but I'm going to see if I can try to move this. Okay, just move it up just a little bit. So that way you can see. All right, there we go. All right, so this point is still 1, 2, and I'm going to go ahead and try to move this over as well. So that way you all can see what I'm getting ready to do. Okay, and for anybody that's watching the playback, thank you so very much. I really do appreciate your your time and taking the time out to watch this playback. And again, I hope that this is very helpful to you. All right. So this one does not want to cooperate, so I'm going to leave it alone. Now, from this point, I am going to go up 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to, it's like connecting the dots. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then from this point, I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, that's for the black part. So I will, so that's my slope right there. 5/3, which is what we've proven right here. But if I wanted to prove that this was also my slope, and I'm going to switch colors here to green. So remember when I said earlier that it really doesn't matter which point you use as your first set because you'll still get the same answer. And that is still true. So what I'm going to do now is actually prove that to you. Okay. So now I'm going to try my, I can't move it. So this is actually in my way. Okay. How about this? All right. We're just going to erase it. That's what we're going to do. And I'm going to put it down here. Okay. So 4, -3. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm now in my green. I am going to start with my first set, which is -1 and 2. And I'm going to go down 5 because remember in the original problem when we solved it, we had a -5. So I am going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is represented by this -5 here. And from there, I'm going to go to the left because my 3 is negative. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And that is my slope for that one. Okay. So remember, there are actually 2 ways. There are many different ways to check yourself to make sure that you are that you have the correct slope. Okay. But either way, your answer is going to be 5/3. If you get 2 negatives, just remember 2 negatives make a positive. So you still have to simplify, so to speak. You cannot leave your answer in this way because it is not simplified. This would be your correct answer right here. This 5/3. Okay. Now, again, I am not sure if I have any students that are on. Okay. If you are on, welcome. If you're not on, thank you for watching the playback. All right. So now what we're going to do, we are going to do one more, and I'm going to walk through this step by step so that way you would know how to do this one. Matter of fact, let me not do number 6. Let me see what number. All right, so let's do number 7. All right, so number 7, I know I have a negative slope. How do I know that I have a negative slope? Because my line is going down. So this is a negative slope. I just do not know what the number is. Okay, I don't know. So what I'm going to do now is I have to figure out what my numbers are or what my coordinates are. So I am going to start at the origin yet again, and I am, excuse me, and I'm going to go over 1, and I'm going to go up 1, 2. So this dot is represented by 1, 2. Okay. I'm going to do the same for this dot. I have to figure out what the coordinate is. So again, you start at your origin. And I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, So then I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. So my coordinate for this one would be, and I'm going to write it down here, is going to be a positive 3 and a negative 4. Okay. Trying to make sure that I write it as careful as I can. So if you see me kind of looking down or even squinting, because I have bad eyes, I'm just making sure that I write it where you all can see it. Now, I am going to, and Ms. Hampton is a creature of habit, I'm going to write out my formula. You do not have to do this, but again, I am a creature of habit. So I'm just used to writing out formulas that I use because it helps me. And plus, it's actually good practice, so that way you can recognize what formulas to use in certain times and situations. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to substitute my numbers. Well, the first thing, before I even do that, I'm going to write my coordinates here. So that way, again, you can see what the coordinates represent. Okay. All right, so 1 is represented by x1 because because 1 is the x coordinate of the first set. And 2 is represented by y1 because 2 is the y coordinate of the first set. So again, 1 is the x coordinate of the first set. That's why we name it x1. And 2 is the y coordinate for the first set. And that is why we name it y1. Now, 3 is represented by x2. And it's not x squared. There's some different. Okay, these are they're subscripts. So they're not above, they're subscripts. Okay. So 3 is represented by x2 because 3 is the x coordinate for the second set. Okay. So that means -4 would be my, if you said y2, then very good. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm simply just going to substitute my numbers in for the letters in the equation. So at the top, what do I have? If you said -4 -2, then good for you. And that is going to be over what? If you said if you said 3 - 1, excellent job. Because my x's are represented by 3 - 1. Okay. So again, my y's are at the top. I have -4 -2, and my x's are at the bottom. 3 - 1. Okay. All right. So now I am simply going to solve. I'm going to use, now the good news is I don't have to use keep change flip at the bottom because I recognize that that's just 3 - 1, and that gives me 2. So I don't have to do any changing. But this top part, I do. So I am going to write up here as best as I could, or best as I can, -4 plus -2. Remember, I followed my keep change rule. So I kept my -4 the same. I changed my subtraction to addition, and I changed my second number to the opposite. The opposite of 2 is -2. So if I had -$4 in my account, which means I'm overdraft at this point, but I decide to spend $2 more of what I didn't have, I am now -$6. Now, the beautiful part about this is, again, it's a fraction. Fractions are nothing more than division problems. So when I divide -6 into 2, my answer is -3. So for number 7, my slope is represented by -3. And I'm going to prove that right now. So I started with 1 and 2 as my first coordinate. So therefore, or my first set. So therefore, I'm going to use that same logic and I'm going to start here. Now I'm going to go down 6, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to go over 2 to my right. I'm going over to my right 2 because 2 is positive. Excuse me, I went down 6 because 6 is negative. And so after that, I'm going to go to my right 2 places because 2 is positive. Whoa. We're just going to erase that. All right, we're just gonna erase that. And we're just gonna start all over. You never know what you're gonna get in Miss Hampton's class. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to go over 1, 2. So therefore, -6 over 2, which gives me -3. Now I'm also going to prove this with -3. I'm going to use the color red. So I'm going to go down 3 and then over 1. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 1, okay, then I go 1, 2, 3. So, want to make sure. Oh, wait. 1, 2, okay. I'm going to erase that particular part. Okay. All right. All right. So that was the original, the -6 over 2. Okay. So now I'm going to go down 1 more. So I started here and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go over 1. 1, 2, 3, down, over 1. And I can keep going that way. So the blue is represented by the original fraction of -6 over 2, and the red is represented by the simplified part of it, which is -3 over 1, or just -3. Okay? All right. So what I want you all to do for the playback, because I'm not sure if I have anybody watching, but if you are watching, thank you again. I appreciate it because they are on mute and I can't see their face. However, if you are watching the playback, your assignment is to do number 8. Okay? So number 8 is your playback assignment. I want you to identify what kind of slope it is, and I want you to find the actual slope. So I'm going to type this here. Okay. I can't spell. Identify the slope. Okay, so when I say identify the slope, I mean, is it a positive, negative, 0, or unidentified? Okay, and I want you to identify and find the slope. Maybe I should have put that. And find the slope. So that is your assignment. Identify what kind of slope it is and find the actual slope, the number, the actual number. Okay, so that is your assignment for the playback. All right. Hopefully this lesson is going so far so good for you. Remember, this lesson is being recorded for all training and quality purposes. And also, this is the playback that's going to be presented on the YouTube channel. This is all in real time. Again, if I was literally in my classroom with my students, what you see is really what you get. So this is just me on a whole different platform, okay? Now, with all of that being said here, let us go very quickly because I actually have about 10 more minutes and I don't want to seem rushed, but remember, this is the classes are only an hour long and you will have assignments to go along with this. So just make sure that you're following along. Take as much time as you need. You can stop. Once I upload this video, you can stop it. You can pause it, take notes. So that's the joy and the beauty of having these playbacks. Okay. Now. Woohoo. I think it's this one. Okay. So now I'm going to make this bigger. All right. Okay. Hopefully you all can see that, but I'm going to go ahead and make it a wee bit bigger. All right. Just a wee bit, so that way you all can see it. All right. So remember, this is a coordinate graph, and the coordinate graph has an x-axis, which is this right here, and it has a y-axis, which is the up and down. So remember, x-axis is horizontal. Think of the horizon when the sun sets on the horizon or when it rises on the horizon. It is rising on something that is across, okay? Vertical is up and down, okay? So always remember that. Now, let's see here. I'm going to make up something. Let's see here. And I'm going to use the color red. All right. Okay. All right. So this is also the disclaimer. Ms. Hampton has a lot of gifts and talents, so they say, but artistry is not one of them. So I can almost guarantee you that this line that I'm going to attempt to draw for you all will not be the straightest. So please do not laugh at my cricket line because I'm real sensitive. Okay. I'm trying to connect the dots here. That's what I'm trying to do. And I probably won't. But you get the point. All right. Ooh. So much for that, right? Oh. All right. So yeah, we're just gonna, keep it moving. That's what we do. All right. So this is a line. Remember, it only takes 2 points to make a line. That's all you need. All right. So sometimes on your GED exam, they're going to give you a line that's on a graph, and they are going to say to you, what is the equation of this line? Now, as always, I joke and I say pick C, but you really don't want to do that. So here's what you need to know as it relates to finding the equation of a line. The first thing you got to know is your slope. Well, before we even get there, this is the formula, y, or the equation that you want your format to be in. Y equals mx plus b. Okay. So that is what you want your format or your linear equation to be in. All right. Now, please don't worry about y and x right now, simply because that deals with functions and we are not there yet. Okay. All right. So the first thing you have to figure out is your slope. How do you do that? Well, you have 2 points here. So you can simply just find out what the coordinates are and then you do your slope. Okay. So for example, this coordinate would be -6 and 3. So I'm going to put -6, 3. Okay. And for this particular one, I am going to put 0, -4. All right, so you all know how to find the slope for that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to actually, you know what? No, I'm going to go ahead and just do this thing right here. Well, sort of, kind of. Okay. So, yeah, and that was my significant other, if you can see that on the recording. So, no worries though. Okay. He was just wishing me well and just telling me that I'm doing a great job. All right. So, with all that being said, we are going to name X1, Y1. This is going to be X2, Y2. Now remember, I could have said 0, -4 would have been X1, Y1, and the other one could have been X2, Y2. It really honestly doesn't make a difference, but I'm just, whatever catches my eye. Okay. So I want you to find the slope for this particular line. Now, the good news is we know what kind of slope it is based on the picture. We know that it's a negative slope. We know that it's a negative slope because our line is going down. Remember, if we're going from left to right, the further we go right and our line goes down, that is a negative slope. Okay, so I'm going to give you all a moment to find the slope, and we're going to be right back after these commercial messages. Don't you go changing. All right, y'all, I am back. Whoop, whoop, whoop. All right, so now we are going to figure out what our slope is for this line. We already know that it is negative based off of the picture. Now, we have y2 minus y1. So I'm not going to rewrite the equation, so I'll just write it over here. So I have -4 minus 3. And I have that over 0 minus -6. Okay. Now, again, we're going to use our keep, change, change rule. And when we do this, we're going to have up here, we're going to have -4 plus -3. Oh, sorry about that. That's a not so cute looking 3. Okay. And then at the bottom, I'm going to have 0 plus 6. Remember, two negatives make a positive. So when I do this, my answer for my slope is going to be y is equal to -7 over 6. So that's my slope. Okay. Now, this last part is going to be B, which is represented by the y-intercept. Remember, the y-intercept is where the line crosses at the y-axis because the line is intercepting, it's crossing, okay? So that is very simple. You're just simply going to look at wherever the line crosses at the y-axis. If it crosses up here at the top, you know you have a positive y-intercept. If it crosses down here at the bottom, you know you have a negative y-intercept, okay? Now, with that being said, the line crosses at -4. So my y-intercept is going to be -4. So now I have just found the equation of my line, which is -7 over 6x minus 4, okay? So that is how you would find the equation of a line. It's really not that bad. So now what I'm going to do is I am simply going to scroll back up and I'm going to add one more piece to this, to your assignment. And of course it's too big. I know. I'm going to make it where it fits. Okay. All righty. All right. So now I'm going to make this bigger actually, because there's going to be one more caveat that I want you to do here. So I want you to identify, matter of fact, let me make this a little, let me make this a little smaller so that way, okay, that's cool. All right, so I want you to identify and find the slope and also find or write the equation of this line. Okay, so the good news is for this particular one, you can tell what kind of slope you have just based on the picture, okay? The other good news is the line crosses at a particular point on the on the y-axis. I don't know why I keep saying x-axis. And for the record, there is a such thing called an x-intercept, and that is where the line crosses at the x-axis. But don't worry about that. You only focus on the line that crosses at the y-axis, okay? Just know and understand that x-intercepts are real and they are out there. But for all intents and purposes, for this particular class, don't even worry about it. Okay, right? Just like with real and imaginary numbers. Right now, we're dealing with real numbers, but there's also a such thing called imaginary numbers. But this is not trigonometry or pre-calculus class, so don't worry about it. But just know that imaginary numbers are real, just like imaginary people. All right, so this is my timer going off, just to let me know that class is over. However, because I did start a little bit late, I have about another 10 minutes. So what I am going to do is this. Let me see if I can make that. All right. So what I want you to do, if you're watching this playback, for number 6 and for number 8, I want you to identify the slope. I want you to find out what kind of slope it is and write the equation of the line for both. Okay, so that is your playback assignment. Okay. All All right. So that is your playback assignment, ladies and gentlemen. If you are watching this playback, that is your assignment. I want you to identify and find the slope, and I want you to write the equation of each line. Okay, so again, I will go back to review how you do that. And at any given moment, again, if you're watching a playback, you can pause, you can take your notes, you can stop, take notes. That is the beauty of playbacks, because you can work at your own pace. All right, let me scroll back up here. Do. All right, so very quickly for the recap, how do you write the equation of a line? Well, the first thing you have to know is your slope. The second thing you need to know is your y-intercept. So first things first, to find the slope, what you would do is you have to make sure that you are writing down your coordinates correctly. So this coordinate is represented as -6, 3, okay? And this coordinate is represented as 0, -4, okay? So what we're going to do is we found the slope, and since I have a little bit of room, I can now write my equation here. So remember, I am a creature of habit. I just didn't have the room before, but now that I do, oh, now that I do. So I'm just going to move this over here, and I'm going to even make it a little bigger so that way you can see it. All right. All right. So the only thing I did, I just substituted my numbers in for the equation. And I had -4 minus 3 over 0 minus -6. I used my keep, change rule for both top and bottom. And when I solved, my answer was -7 over 6. So that is represented by my slope. So that's M. All right. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and make this bigger as well. So hopefully, you all will have an opportunity to see it. Okay. And then I'll stretch it out too. So that way, again, you can see it. All right. So now, how did I find my B or my y-intercept? Remember, your y-intercept is where the line crosses at the y-axis. That is so important to remember. Okay. Remember, your y-axis is the vertical line. It goes up and down. Okay. So you're simply just going to look, oh, my line crosses at 0, -4. Okay. So your y-intercept is also the y-coordinate where the line crosses at the y-axis. Okay. Let me say that again. Your y-intercept, which is represented by B, is where your line crosses at the y-axis. And it is also represented as your y-coordinate. Okay? So that's the reason why I put -4, because -4 is my y-coordinate here. Okay, so hopefully you all can see that. Okay? So that is what I want you to do. Oh, well, by the way, while I'm on this subject, this has a negative slope. So I identified the slope. I identified what kind of slope it was because it is negative. I found my slope, and I wrote the equation of my line. So those are the 3 things that I want you to work on for numbers. I keep forgetting. that I gotta go back to regular. All right. All right. Here we go. All right. So here, now here I will make it a little bigger so that way you don't have to squinch and squint to see. I want you all to eat your vegetables, your carrots, anything that promotes good eyesight. Do not be like Miss Hampton when it comes to bad eyesight. Be better than Miss Hampton, okay? Uh, all right. All right. Uh-oh. So you're not going to be able to see that. All right. All right. So now you may have to do a little squinching and squinching, and I'm sorry about that. But if it makes you feel any better, what I'll also do, I will go ahead and mark these in red so that way it'll be easier for you to see. Okay? All right. All right. Okay. So that is your assignment, number 6 and 8. I want you to identify and find the slope of the line, and I want you to write the equation of the line. Okay? So, as always, I really do appreciate you all taking the time out to watch this video. I really hope that it's been helpful for you, and I really hope that my explanations make sense. I know sometimes I may split and splutter and blah, 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 but this is in real time. And again, not to say that the platform has changed, but everything is still the same when it comes to Miss Hampton. Okay, I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't mean to write that, or because that's what I normally do when I would be in class. So you are getting the authentic and genuine Miss Hampton. All right. So hopefully you all have had an opportunity to look at these graphs and that you'll have an opportunity to identify and find the slope, and you will write the equation of the line. We will go over this tomorrow, and I want to wrap this up because this week I really want to go over factoring quadratics and using the quadratic formula and multiplying binomials or FOIL. I love stuff like that, slopes and quadratic formula. That's my thing. If they had a doctoral program for just that, I would go and be in it right now. And I would be Dr. Hampton of slope and quadratic formula. Because I love slope and quadratic formula. Okay. So with all that being said, I am going to go ahead and stop the screen share right now. Okay. Oh, all right. So Miss Philomena is still on. So thank you so much, Miss Philomena, for sticking and staying with me. I really do appreciate it. Um, if you have any questions at all, and this is for anybody that's watching the playback, please contact me. Please feel free to ask any questions. Remember, there is no such thing as a dumb question except for the ones you do not ask. So don't be ashamed. Don't be embarrassed. Don't feel like, oh my God, I'm supposed to know this. We are all helpers to one another. And by, we will get through it, as I always tell my students, and we will not allow Auntie Rona and Uncle Virus to get on our nerves because we have a lot going on as is, and we must stay positive, we must stay upbeat, and we must be optimistic because that's the only way that we are not only going to get through this GED program, but we're also going to get through this horrible and terrible pandemic. So again, my prayers are with you all and your families. I pray that everyone is staying safe. I pray that everyone is washing their hands, practicing social distancing, give me 6 feet, and above all else, stay home unless you have to go and get quarantine snacks. That's the only reason why you should be going out. Okay. So at this moment in time, if there are no further questions, I am going to go ahead and end this session. And I bid you all a blessed and wonderful Tuesday. I will see you all tomorrow back here at 11 o'clock sharp. All right. So make sure that you're here because that's important. I need you here. I need you in my life. I need you here. Okay. So I will see you all tomorrow at 11. Miss Hampton loves you all, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. And until tomorrow at 11, bye.